is another chaotic live brought to you by me, Megan. So here's the thing. Daycare is a little finicky about you might be like, daycare was closed last Friday, Megan. What was up with that? Well, they close on Friday when there's a Monday holiday so that the workers get a 4-day weekend, which I do appreciate for them. I'm happy for them. But it is a little frustrating because I don't have the day off on Friday, and I work for myself, so I guess I could, but I have shit that needs done. So anyway, but basically daycare said my kiddo was sick. He's not sick. He's fine. But he, I guess, was a little sniffly. So they told him he couldn't come today. So in order to get some stuff done, I came down to my mom's, and we are doing the live stream here, except of course my internet won't work on my laptop. It won't connect. It won't connect to my hotspot. It won't connect to anything. My laptop just will not connect to the internet here. So with that in mind, I'm going live on my phone, which I don't usually love doing. I think this like up and down is not ideal for going live. It's frustrating. Anyway, hi Cool Kids Army. Always good to see you. Hello. So anyway, those are some of my grievances with the situation for the live today. But let's go ahead and move on. Let's leave the grievances behind and let's talk about what we came here to talk about, okay? So I have an event coming up. It's a completely free event that you can attend. Anyone can attend. I will say if you plan on working with me one-on-one or in the Get Shit Done program or in the Neurodivergent Clubhouse, if you intend on paying me, I really, really, really request, please, that you be 18 or older. But for my free events, for my digital products, I kind of leave those open to the public, use at your own discretion and stuff like that. But just got home from my first week of school. I hope it went so well. I hope it was so good. So my free events are open to everybody. Come, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm on my mom's standing desk. I didn't realize it has like a touch screen on the top and I accidentally touched it, made it go down. Anyway, oh my goodness, this live is such a shit show. That's okay. That's okay, right? I have ADHD. That is what it's going to be like some of the time. So let me tell you about the free event. So it's called Housework, Hygiene, and Hobbies, and it's 3 days, and each day we focus on a different thing. Housework, hygiene, or hobbies. And what we're focusing on really is how to do those things, even when you experience something called executive dysfunction. So if you're watching and you have heard of executive dysfunction and you're not driving or doing dishes or something, put a 1 in the chat, just the number 1, to let me know, yes, I have heard of executive dysfunction. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. If you have never heard of executive dysfunction, you have no clue what I'm talking about, put a 2. And then if you're like, I've heard of it, but I definitely need you to say more, put a 3. That way I kind of know where we're at and what people need right now when it comes to talking about executive dysfunction. So 1 is I've heard of it. I know what it is. I'm comfy with that term. 2 is I have no idea what executive dysfunction is. 3 is I've heard of executive dysfunction, but please explain more. So go ahead and throw that in the chat so that I know where we are. Again, only if you're not driving or not doing dishes, as long as your hands are free. The Housework, Hygiene, and Hobbies event is a 3-day event, totally free, totally virtual. It's all on Zoom. You can have your cameras on, off, whatever works, and you can ask questions. You can come off mute and ask, or you can... Okay. Anyway, you can come off mute if you'd like, or you can, post in the Zoom chat and I can give you some coaching and stuff like that. So anyway, let's just go ahead and let me give you a quick explanation of executive dysfunction. Let's see. There we go. So executive dysfunction is a lot of things. So sometimes it gets boiled down to what we're going to talk about and like only being that, but it turns out executive dysfunction is a lot of stuff. There are actually 8 executive functions and all of them can go wrong. And if one of them goes wrong, more are more likely to go wrong, kind of like a domino effect. Like once one goes wrong, they all kind of start going wrong. And when I say go wrong, I don't mean like you're doing things wrong or existing the wrong way. I more just mean that it's, really easy to struggle with more than one aspect of executive dysfunction, of executive functioning. So the 8 executive functions, let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head, are impulse control, emotional regulation, flexible thinking. Man, I'm only at three. Flexible thinking, working memory, organization, prioritization, self-monitoring, and task initiation. Look at me go, all eight. Okay, so those are the 8 executive functions. And the one we're primarily going to be talking about in the Housework, Hygiene, and Hobbies event is organization, prioritization, and task organization, or task initiation, I mean. So what are those? Task initiation is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability to start a task. And a lot of us struggle with that. There's been a lot of people who have described executive functioning issues when it comes to task initiation. So, like, it feels like someone's asking you to touch a hot stove. Like, you literally can't touch a hot stove. You can't make yourself do it, or most people cannot make themselves touch a hot stove. Like, there's a part of your brain that says, no, we can't do that. So I lost my train of thought. It'll come back. So that's one way some people describe executive dysfunction. It feels like asking yourself to take a shower, asking yourself to cook dinner. It feels like someone's asking you to touch a hot stove, and you're like, I can't. Other people have described task initiation issues as if there's like a brick wall in between you and the task you want to start, and you like can't figure out how to get, it's like infinitely long, infinitely high, and you're like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. Like, I guess I could break through, but like how? And anyway, so some people have described executive dysfunction like that. But yeah, so task initiation is when you're like, I know what task I need to do. I want to do the task. I am trying to do the task, and I can't. And I don't know why. So, let's see. Oh, wow, there's a lot of you watching. Hi, guys. Hello. So we're talking executive dysfunction, and let me go ahead and put in the chat if I can. I don't know if I can put stuff in the chat. Let's see. Start a poll. That's not what I want to do. No, I don't know. I don't know that I can put it in the chat, but it's in the description of this video. The description of this video has the link to sign up for the event. I'm hosting a completely free 3-day event on Zoom called Housework, Hygiene, and Hobbies, where we tackle some executive dysfunction issues so that you can do your chores, take care of your physical like self, and actually engage in the things you like to do. Because here's the thing about executive dysfunction that I think a lot of people don't understand is like, executive dysfunction doesn't just stop you from doing things you don't want to do, like chores or cleaning or mowing the lawn or whatever. Executive dysfunction stops you from like playing video games. It stops you from reading a book. It stops you from pulling a tarot card. Like whatever it is that you do for fun, it stops you from doing that shit as well. And that is so frustrating. And we don't talk about it nearly enough, I think, because so often we're like, who cares about that? I just need to do like the things I have to do, like my dishes, like I have to sweep the floors. I haven't swept the floors in like 2 or 3 weeks now, I think, which is bad because I have twins who like are a year old. They crawl around, like they need the floors to be clean. So anyway, yeah, full, like, we're just being transparent here, right? Like, I am not perfect at all. Like, I know a lot of tips and tricks and strategies for dealing with executive dysfunction, but I have in no way like gotten rid of it. And that's something I always try to be really, really clear and explicit about. Sorry, are you guys leaving comments? Because I'm not seeing them. I know I muted one person because they were not posting things that were relevant. But if you guys want to leave comments, if you want to ask questions, like, please feel free, because there's quite a few of you watching, which is great. I'm thrilled. Hi. So anyway, maybe this time is better. Is noon better for you guys? Let me know if you would prefer I go live at noon. So anyway, so when it comes to executive dysfunction, I have noticed that housework, hygiene, and hobbies are 3 of the biggest areas where my clients tend to struggle. And so that's why I created an event that specifically covers those types of struggles with executive dysfunction. So on day 1, on Monday, September 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and replays will absolutely be sent out, we will be talking about housework and how to get more done around the house without beating yourself up, without being mean to yourself, without shaming yourself, because I don't think any of that is helpful at all. So we're just not going to go down that road. Instead, it's going to be like, okay, how can I do housework? How can I clean my toilets? How can I sweep the stairs? How can whatever, mow the lawn, whatever you need to get done around the house? How can I do it in a way that works with my brain instead of constantly fighting against it? Now, I'm still learning some of this stuff. I've been learning about executive dysfunction for like 4 or 5 years now, and I still have a ton to learn. But I've learned some really helpful skills that I'm really excited to pass on to you. Stuff like June bugging, which is a cleaning strategy I found on Tumblr. Um, I know there's 38 people watching. That's crazy. Hi, guys. Usually there's like 12 of us. So anyway, hi. Yeah, everybody say hello. Tell me where you're from. Tell me if you identify as neurodivergent in some way, and if you're comfortable disclosing in what way, let me know. Personally, I'm autistic, ADHD. I have major depressive disorder and a history of trauma. So those are my main neurodivergent titles or whatever. You don't have to share specifically if you don't want to, but you can. Also, if you're like, well, I don't know, but I think maybe I am, like, that's totally fine. Totally welcome. That's why it's the Neurocuriosity Club, because we're all curious about our brains here. I'm neurodivergent in most ways that you can be. Gotcha. Peculiar Maple. That's a great name, by the way. I love it. So I'm hosting this really cool, totally free event called Housework, Hygiene, and Hobbies. The link is in the description. Go sign up. It's totally free. I do collect your email so that I can send you the Zoom link and so that I can send you the replays. That way, if you can't make it live, you can still see the event. There's also going to be prizes. I'm so excited. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to give away, but there's going to be one live winner and one replay winner. That way, I know there's people who are like, it's at 2 p.m., Megan. I work a 9 to 5. I can't like just log on to Zoom in the middle of my workday. I totally get that. So that's why one person will win live and one person will win on the replay. So very excited for that. Now, in order to win on the replay, you are going to have to fill out a very brief like replay reflection form just to be like, I watched it and I like, here's what I took away from it. So, anyway. Okay, I heard a crash. My mom's watching the kids, so they're fine, but like, okay, anyway. So go sign up for the event. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be talking about how to do housework, take care of your physical hygiene, and how to actually engage in your hobbies, even if you deal with executive dysfunction, which executive dysfunction is many, many things, but one of the ways it manifests is this horrible feeling that you want to do something, you're trying to do something, and you just cannot do it, and you don't understand why. This is executive dysfunction. I am so like, I love busting the myth that you're just lazy. You are not lazy. Like, I love the book by Devin Price, Laziness Does Not Exist. That's the same guy who wrote Unmasking Autism. But I truly believe it. I truly believe laziness is not a thing. Let's see, getting diagnosed when your life isn't in the trash has discouraged me significantly. Last time I tried getting diagnosed, I got bipolar disorder. It's the most consistently boring person I know. Hey, it's totally possible to be boring and have bipolar. Let's just be super real and honest, okay? It is totally possible. But at the same time, if that diagnosis does not feel accurate to you and you feel it doesn't reflect your experiences, I hear that completely as well. Yeah, it is hard. A lot of the symptoms and traits and stuff of autism and ADHD are based off of when we're in acute distress. And so when we're not in acute distress, everybody's like, oh, nothing's wrong. And it's like, no, I'm still really struggling. I am just not on like the brink of death. So I so hear you, Jennifer. It is so hard. Two resources I really recommend: the Neuroclastic Directory of Diagnosticians. Hugely recommend them for finding an assessor who will take you seriously. And then ndtherapists.com, letter N, letter D, therapists with an S at the end.com. So those are two resources I really recommend. They're on my website, the neurocuriosityclub.com. If you go to resources, they're both on there, along with a couple other really cool resources I enjoy. Aren't we all struggling? Yeah. Yes, I think everyone is struggling right now, neurodivergent or neurotypical. I think life is just really difficult. This is what happens when, wages stagnate for 40 years. Everyone is struggling. It's just really hard to get by. It's really hard to have fun. It's really hard to be like a person when you're worrying about money constantly. So, and the reason I bring up money is because our productivity is directly tied to our money as well. And like that's a whole other thing. I know what you mean, but it's crazy to get that over ADHD when I don't have the common symptoms with women, i.e., depression. The reason I was given was because I'm apparently high functioning depressive. Yeah. Thank you for the resources. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of therapists and assessors are pretty irresponsible with the use of the bipolar diagnosis, in my opinion. Not that bipolar is a super valid diagnosis. There are so many people who have that lived experience and that label really helps them. So I'm in no way like um, invalidating that experience. What I am saying is that bipolar often takes time to recognize. Like, it's not what we see in the media with like these super fast mood swings, although it can present that way. But generally speaking, it takes time to diagnose bipolar. So if someone diagnoses you bipolar in the first like 2 or 3 meetings that they've seen you, like to me, that's not the most responsible way to go about diagnosis. So that's just my opinion, though. I'm not a doctor, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm very lucky. I think maybe you meant young. Yeah. Wow, I never knew I could relate so much to such little information. I'm not sure if I'm neurodivergent, but it sounds like a possibility. I do have really bad ADHD and I'm not medicated for it. Yeah. So if you have ADHD, that is a form of neurodivergence. Neurodivergent is a term that was invented by Kassiana Asasmasu, who is a multiply neurodivergent advocate and activist. And they defined it as any any mind or brain that deviates from the societal standard of normal. So, as you can guess, that's a huge definition. That includes so many people. The point of the word neurodivergent is to be as broad and inclusive as possible. So, it includes things like ADHD and autism, but it also includes things like Tourette's, Alzheimer's, personality disorders, mental illness. Like, literally, it includes so much. And so some people argue that because it's so broad, it's actually not that helpful. And I can understand that argument. But for me, it's helpful because a lot of neurodivergent people struggle with some similar things. So, like, a lot of us deal with executive dysfunction, whether it's because of ADHD and not being able to focus, or depression and not seeing the fucking point of doing anything, or whether it's sometimes folks with psychosis who experience executive dysfunction because it's really hard to get stuff done if you're really distracted by a lot of delusions or hallucinations. So yeah, yeah, I think the word can be helpful, but yeah. The problem is that our productivity is not tied to our wages. Ooh, this is such a good point. The people who get the most are the ones who start with money and then grow it, not productive or hardworking at all. Yes, when I say our productivity is tied to our money, I mean that the working class, if we were like working class, middle class, if we were to stop working, we would be destitute in a matter of like days, weeks, months. You know, it wouldn't take long. So it's not that productivity equals value equals money. It's that the working class and middle class are stuck in a cycle of you need to work to live, that kind of thing. Literally how I got diagnosed after 2 sessions. Thank you for validating why I was so disillusioned with bothering again. This was back in 2018. Yeah. Oh, are you a doctor because you speak like one? No, no offense taken, but no, not a doctor, not a therapist. I am a life coach. Totally different thing. I just have done a absolute metric shit ton of research into this stuff because I really love it. Psychology and basically just anything that explores the concept of the self is a huge special interest for me as an autistic person. So yeah. Hey, where do you find all this information? Would love to know more. Thank you for all the info. I have gathered this over the years from so many sources. I read a lot of academic articles. I read a lot of books. So like Unmasking Autism was a great one. We Are All Neurodiverse by Sunny Jane Wise is really good. How to ADHD was really good. So yeah, I've just gathered the information from a lot of different places over the years. If you want to work with me, I actually have 1 or 2 one-on-one spots open. And I can help you learn all this information. You can come and ask your questions and we can work together one-on-one. So if you're interested in that, go over to Instagram at the neurocuriosity club at the neurocuriosity club and send me a DM and I can let you know a little bit more about like how one-on-one coaching works. Or if you have questions, you can drop them below. I need to go now. Oh, no problem, Cool Kids Army. It's always so good to see you. I embrace my ADHD. I hate how the medicine takes away my personality. I'd rather be myself and live life the way it works for me. Casey, you are not alone. There are so many ADHDers who feel that way. And personally, I used to be the kind of person who thought everyone with any mental illness or ADHD or whatever had to be on medication. It was the best way to go. But that's because I was so freaking miserable and medication helped me so profoundly. I didn't understand why other people wouldn't want that. Basically, I lacked some empathy, which is a huge part of my autism. I really struggle with cognitive empathy. I struggle to put myself in other people's shoes. But what I understand now is that for some people, medication doesn't make them feel better. Medication makes them feel less themselves. It makes them feel less in control. It makes them feel zombie-like, or there's lots of reasons people don't love medication, and that's always fine. Whatever the individual wants is always so much more important than what I think is right. You know what I mean? So like, you're not alone in being an ADHDer who's like, forget the medications. Like, I will find other tools that work for me. And that's great. Let's see. I hate the way we rely on money to survive. Yeah. Oh, I get it. If you're working class, then productivity equals survival. Yeah. My ADHD is second to my autism. See, and I'm kind of the other way around. I tend to be very ADHD forward, very chaotic. I agree, Casey. And also, I've been depending on life coach and social worker therapy sessions on campus. From my experience, life coaches have been more helpful than doctors. I agree with chat. Rather be me than have prescriptions. Thankfully, has worked out so far. Yeah. I take Prozac just to give a boost when I'm lost. Yeah. Personally, I'm on 4 daily medications for my mental health. 1 that's taken as needed, but 3 that are daily, 1 that's taken as needed. I will probably be on those 3 and potentially that 4th one for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. I'm like genuinely okay with that. Most of the time. Of course, every now and again I have a day where I'm like, if I didn't take my meds, I would be a horrible person, and that's who I really am. I'm really this horrible, awful person. Usually I start thinking this way when I forgot my meds. Anyway, I think that medication is a wonderful tool for many people, and it's not the right tool for many others, and that's totally fine. I think I take a pretty medication neutral stance personally in my world. Also, I'm so glad that the life coaches have been helpful. Again, I have some one-on-one spots with me, or I have my Get Shit Done program, which is all about productivity and how to be more productive with like different types of neurodivergence, especially ADHD and autism. So super happy to work with you guys. That would be great. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to the neurocuriosityclub.com/GSD. That'll take you to the Get Shit Done program. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one, again, just message me on Instagram at the Neurocuriosity Club. I'm very autism forward, and people who know say I present totally different now. Ooh, that's so interesting. Like, tell me more. Why does the clubhouse cost $3 a month? Can I ask that? I'm a bit confused. Most of us are broke. Hi, yeah. It costs $3 a month because it takes a ton of my time. And frankly, it's worth like a lot more than that. If I charged my hourly rate for the clubhouse, it would be hundreds of dollars a month. I charge $3 a month because I want to make it as accessible as possible. So basically what you get when you join, you get a monthly book club, you get a monthly coaching session, you get a monthly guest expert workshop, you get a monthly work day, and you get 3 body doubling sessions a week. That's a ton of my time, a ton of my resources. And if I didn't charge for it, I would also be broke, right? So the idea is I need to be compensated for my time, effort, labor, and expertise. So that's the idea. My spouse also takes, I'm not going to try to say that, but yeah, and Adderall, I've seen the benefits it has made to quality of life. I just stress that doctors push medicine before even asking about things like diet, alcohol, etc. Yeah. My ADHD was my voice while masking. Oh, that's very relatable. Yeah, I feel that. I see now. Okay, yeah, and I didn't mean to be, I'm just trying to be upfront. Like, that's why I charge. Because your girl has to make a living too. And because I don't believe in exploitation, even the exploitation of myself, right? Nothing in my perfect world, as some people are like, in a perfect world, everything would be free. No, because when stuff is free, someone made that and they're not getting paid. In a perfect world, we all have enough money to pay for what we need. And we have ways to fairly compensate people who give us things we want. Like, that's my perfect world, personally. But I'm very anti-capitalist, but very pro profit and pro thriving and pro having money for stuff you want and need. So anyway, I stutter and stammer now because to speak my autism comes from the right side of my brain. That's so interesting. Thank you for all your work. Love your work. Really helpful and have shared with others. New here. Hello from Netherlands. Ah, very cool. Snickety smoo. Smickety smoo. Sorry. Hi. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing my work with other people. That means the world to me. That really helps me grow and meet new people who want to work with me. I would love to work with you if you're interested. I'm looking for 1 or 2 more people to work with me one-on-one. So if you're interested, Instagram at the Neurocuriosity Club, just send me a DM over there and I will get back to you ASAP. The thought to speech is different for me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, that's so relatable. Yes. So, okay. Housework, hygiene, and hobbies. There we go. That's what we're talking about. I have a free event. It's coming up next week, September 9th, 10th, and 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. There will be replays. There will be prizes. It will be so much fun. I think we've got about 200 people signed up now. Let me tell you guys my big goal. I want to get 1,000 people signed up for this event. Now you might be thinking, Megan, you're going to have to quadruple the amount of people you've gotten in the last week in a matter of like 3 days. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So if you want to help me get to 1,000 people, share the event. Go to the description, find the link, and share that link with your friends, families, in communities where you know there are other neurodivergent people who struggle with doing their chores and keeping up with hygiene and actually reading a goddamn book. So anyway, I would love for you to spread the word, love for you to tell people you love about it. And because if I could get 1,000 people to show up, and not even show up, just to sign up, because I know about 10% of people actually show up to the event. So that's fine because my Zoom only holds 100 people anyway. But if we could like max out Zoom, like, oh, that would be so fun, right? That would be so fun. Let's see, I'm so grateful that your resources are very accessible and economical. Plus, I think it's important, as you say, value the worth of your invested time, especially as a mommy. Exactly. Every hour I work on this business is an hour I'm not with my kids. Now, granted, I am not the stay-at-home mom type or material. I need some time away from my kids. I love them so much. Like, please don't misinterpret. My kids are amazing. And I am a person outside of being a mother as well, and that's important to me. So anyway, I get a lot of voice in my head. Mostly it'll cook new scenarios, and sometimes I enjoy that, but sometimes it's a real distraction. It gives me mental strain. Is this part of ADHD? It can be. It totally can be. A lot of ADHDers find that they have a very active inner monologue. We talk to ourselves a lot. We have a lot of stuff going on in there. Sometimes we have like 3 or 4 different conversations going on in our head at once. That's part of the internal restlessness that can be part of ADHD, but there's also lots of other things, especially if the voices don't feel like your own. That could be more of a psychosis thing, which there is no shame in experiencing psychosis. That is just something that some people experience. And I think we really need to neutralize and destigmatize that. So I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying if those voices are not your own, you may want to just talk to somebody and figure out, what is going on with that. Yes, I think medicine neutral is the way to go. For me, it was actually dangerous before we found the right medications, but I have a friend who did really badly on meds. It's personal. Exactly, Amps. I was a freaking train wreck before my medications. Like, I couldn't run this business. I couldn't coach anyone on anything. I was so busy just trying to survive. Like, no, was not going to fly. Let's see. Will do. Share with others. Thank you, Smickety Smoo. ADHD can definitely feel like our thoughts are stuck, but if we keep things in perspective, it helps. Being introspective to rationalize is my strategy. Yeah, intellectualization is like my number one strategy for coping with big emotions that I can't handle as well. I totally get it. So let's see. Do you guys have questions, especially about executive dysfunction or about the event coming up? It's going to be about an hour each day. I can't go much longer than that because I have to pick up my kids. I have to leave at 3:30 and the event starts at 2. So I guess I could go a little longer, but it's not going to be like a multi-hour event. It's going to be like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So yeah, we're going to talk about household chores. We're going to talk about taking care of your personal hygiene, some hacks for that. And we're going to talk about actually engaging in your hobbies. And I'm very excited. I'm sure my internal chorus is me, to be honest. Doesn't make it easier. Totally fair. Totally fair. Yeah, it does not make it any easier, but it is like reassuring, I guess, just to know what is you and what's not you, if that makes sense. Like that's just good insight to have. So but no, I understand, I think. Like my internal voice can be very aggressive and very mean sometimes, like very cruel. Very cruel. Now it's still my voice. It's not an outsider's voice. It's my voice, but like you said, that doesn't always make it easier. Let's see. My internal chorus is Serena and Sailor Mars. I'm working on kicking them out. Yeah. Acclimating to our thoughts and how we are, and validation from those around us helps us to grow. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Okay, well, it's been about a half hour. If you have any questions, drop them below real quick, and I'll do some like rapid fire question and answer. But then I have to go because my kids are downstairs. They're eating lunch. My mom's watching all three of them, so I don't want to leave her hanging with them too terribly long. The voices are mine because in the past I tried to create these new scenarios intentionally, but now it gained its own momentum. It doesn't happen all the time, only when I become idle or I'm doing nothing. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds a little bit like your brain is afraid, or you are afraid of like what you're going to think about if your brain is not occupied, or you're afraid, especially if you have ADHD, of the mental pain that is associated with boredom. A lot of ADHDers it is really like physically painful for us to be bored. And so it's like, I gotta stay active. I gotta stay thinking about something, about anything, about something stimulating. And sometimes the things that are stimulating to us aren't actually that good for us, because sometimes we get stimulation and dysregulation confused. We think they're the same, but they're different. So allow me to explain that real quick. Stimulation is just when your nervous system is active. Dysregulation is when your nervous system is freaking out. So it's sort of like the difference between like 2% milk and whole milk, right? Like one is like whole milk and the other one's like less. So stimulation's down here and dysregulation's up here. So we don't want to confuse those two. So maybe when you start experiencing that, seek out healthier stimulation, something that's less distressing, right? Question regarding executive dysfunction. Yeah, my brother/spouse struggle, maybe brother and spouse, struggle with daily hygiene. Is this more noted in males versus females, or is this irrelevant? In my experience, gender really doesn't make a huge difference, actually. Like, I think sometimes women with ADHD feel a lot more shame around struggling with hygiene, but we still tend to struggle with it. Right? So that is the only difference I've seen, is the amount of shame related. Guys tend to be, generally speaking, this is a huge generalization. Generally speaking, guys are more easily forgiven for being unkempt. Women are severely judged for being unkempt. And so we experience more shame around it. Sometimes we may work harder to hide it. But meant to use and. That's so funny. Yeah. Let's see. There we go. We're going to hide that person. But yeah, we have to be careful how much we focus on the off thoughts because it's counterproductive. Yes and no. Like, to a certain extent, we can't always help what thoughts we focus on. So I try not to shame myself for like focusing on the wrong thoughts, but I do agree that like focusing on thoughts that make you feel good is always going to make you feel better, you know? So when you can, you should. Those voices sound a whole lot like my anxiety thought spirals. Yeah, stimming. Yeah, stimming can help. Brother and spouse. Yeah, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Are there any last questions? Anybody else have anything else they want to say or need some help with? Have any questions about? Go sign up for the event. Tell your friends and family. Share it in Facebook groups. Share it in Discord groups. I would love to get 1,000 people. Like, I can't tell you how excited that would make me, because for a couple of reasons. One, I would love to get like 100 people on Zoom, because I think we could have such cool conversations if we did that. Two, Full transparency, I use this event to launch my Get Shit Done program, which is my program that is designed to help people get shit done, be more productive, deal with executive dysfunction. It's a lifetime access program. It's such a good program and I love it very much. And basically, I invite people to this free event. I teach them a ton of stuff. And then I say, hey, if you want to know even more, come join this program. And so the more people who come, the more people who join the program, which is great for them getting the help they need, but also good for like my income and stuff like that. So, supporting me, sharing my free event helps pay for daycare and formula and all of the good stuff. So, let's see. Any other questions? Anything else? Just gonna wait and see if there's any other questions. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay. Nope. Thank you for everything you do/create. We'll share with others. Thank you. It was so good to meet you. Thank you for coming. We usually do these every Friday at 1, but there's been way better attendance today than usual. So I may switch it to noon just because the attendance was great. So I think I might switch it to noon. I think this is when a lot of people are on lunch break and they're just kind of scrolling YouTube. So anyway, okay. I am going to go. Thank you all so much for coming. Please come to the free event. Please share it with your friends, and I will see you all next time.